Welcome to Speak the Truth 2.0. I guess you guys have heard we have breaking news. Trump, Trump. The Epstein Files has now hit his desk and he is signing it. So he's going to release it. So that's a win-win-win for the women that have been affected by Epstein. Now they claim that it's at least 1,000, I believe, women. So it's shocking to hear the numbers, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to go through it because there are still hindrances. The hindrances are that if some of the information in regards to the women is still in the files, they're not going to totally release it because they still want to keep some of the identities hidden. But I'm surprised. Trump said that if it hit his desk, that he was going to release the files. It has hit his desk. Now, normally, Trump does a live from like the Oval Office and he talks to the reporters. Now, supposedly, he has signed it, but he has not signed it in front of the cameras. So I don't know if he's going to come on later on with a live from the White House showing that he actually signed the document. Right now, we're going by his words. And you know, Trump always has the media in front of him, especially for something like this. This is major. Even Marjorie Taylor, a Republican, has been pushing for the release of the Epstein files, and she claims that she is going to, I think tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, she's going to read out each of the names of the women. So now they're trying to pin a lot of it on the Democrats. So I know they're going after this Democratic Congresswoman. Well, I know she didn't have any affairs with Epstein or the girls, but anyway, they're going to. There's a lot of heads that they said they're going to roll, and I believe it's going to be on both sides. But I think Trump has grown tired of all these months that he's been like trying to, he's been like really saturating the news media. Every single day, Trump has been online or he's been in front of cameras saturating the news feed. So I think that he's just grown tired of it. He's weary of it. Whatever's in it, he just wants it out there. So what we don't know how much of it is going to actually be released because they're saying that they're scrubbing some names. I believe the last 8 weeks that during the shutdown and they refused to swear in the representative from Arizona, it might have been tampered with. Will we ever find out? We don't know. But I think that somebody's doing some cleanup. So anyway, we want to go right to it. We want to hear what Trump said about the release of it. But this is breaking news.
Has signed the bill that Congress passed calling for the release of the federal government to release more Epstein files. The president just putting this length.
He put in this lengthy, I want to read it, and then I'm going to go back to them. But Trump put in this lengthy, news post. He said Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to the Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures, such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, minority leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associates with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed because I have signed the bill to release the Epstein files. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and Senate respectfully. Because of this request, the vote was almost unanimous in favor of passage. And you know they had to do it unanimously because once they go back to their constituents, whether it was Republicans or Democrats, if they didn't vote for it, they say, well, you're supporting pedophilia, that you're supporting the act that was committed on these girls. So I believe that's why the Republicans and Democrats, wanted this to pass because they have to answer to their constituents. Because of the request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to the issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try and distract from our amazing victories. Thank you, I see you. Victories, including the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no men and women's sports, or transgenders for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran nuclear capabilities, getting trillions of dollars invested in the USA, creating the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the recent shutdown disaster. 4 years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, Ukraine. Trump be like, he don't be playing. Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. Ukraine, impeachment hoax. Number 1, impeachment hoax. Number 2, and many other Democrats created a witch hunts and scams, all which have been so terrible, divisive for our country, and have been done to confuse, deflect, distract from the great job that Republicans and the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on them. This is from your President Trump. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you, guys. Love you. I'm there. It says, oh, what did you say? Thank you. You can read this, Eli. This is crazy. This is so crazy.
Thank you, Stonewall.
Thank you for the hearts. Thank you, guys. This is, you guys, it's going to be stuff that's been hidden that we didn't even, thank you so much, Stonewall, that we had no idea. Wait till you see these names. The way that they kept this, I don't know if this is a Democratic, thank you. Is it Democrat, Republicans? But I think it's going to be a mixture because Trump is throwing them names out there. He throwing names out there.
Like you
thank you so much.
Yeah, Stonewall said messy situation.
Huh? Oh, messy. Yeah, this situation.
But like you said before, if Trump was on the list, Joe Biden would have been released.
If Trump was on the list, what I was saying like months ago when he got elected, I said if Trump was on the list, they would have released that the last 4 years if Trump was as involved. So that had me like thinking, how much is Trump involved? Because they would, the way that they didn't want him to be elected president, I'm just using reasoning. Thank you so much. They would have used that against him. Do you know how they tried so hard to stop Trump? Trump went through a trial. Trump became a felon. They didn't have nothing to do with that. I'm not saying about the assassination attempt, but Trump had 2 assassination attempts, maybe 3, because not forget about the one in California that they stopped. He went through a lot to become president, and they fought him, and it seemed like even during the debates, it seemed like that would have been a main topic. It should have been, remember Trump was being sued by, I forget her name, in New York? Thank you so much. Remember he was being sued by the lady in New York that he has to pay all these millions of dollars to? It seemed like they would have used the Epstein Files against him while he was running for president. So some of this stuff is kind of shaky. But Trump, I'm surprised. I don't know he's going to come on, but I'm surprised that he didn't do a freaking news, like a breaking news meeting at the White House, because it's almost, I feel like it's historic with him signing that. Can you imagine the women? Well, they were girls at the time. Can you imagine them thinking they would never get justice? Because these are big dogs. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. But y'all have to understand, this doesn't always happen. These are the big, big dogs. We're talking about the billionaires, the multi-billionaires, the multi-millionaires. We're talking probably about Hollywood. We're talking about kings and queens. We're talking about big-time people. The names, this is why this has been so hard to disclose this, because some of these people Trump might like. Some of these people, they, might be friends. And like once you disclose this stuff, there's no turning back. So I think this is going to be one of the biggest stories probably this century. This is going to be huge because the magnitude of the people. They'll be going to Epstein as a billionaire, his island, and these girls and these stars and these people. And we know former President Clinton visited the island 26 times. If Trump had visited that 26 times, he would not be sitting at White House right now. There's no way, no way, no way. 26 times? So I don't know with Trump, but he doesn't seem happy about it because I'm surprised. Trump has been doing a news conference like every day. Since they started talking about releasing the Epstein files. It's like this is something he didn't want to handle. This is something he wanted it to go away, but the people wanted the release of the files, and the demand was louder than he couldn't just sweep it under the rug. He had to address this. Trump had to address this because it wouldn't go away. Even during the shutdown, people were saying, where are the Epstein files? During 42 million people unable to receive SNAP, people were still saying, where are the Epstein files? During the deployment of federal troops into the cities on citizens, people were saying, where are the Epstein files? Trump making deals with Saudi Arabia, Prince, $1 trillion deals. People were saying, where are the Epstein files? No matter what, people were like, where are these files? And God, I'm getting my popcorn. We are going to be covering this.
Okay.
This is going to be big.
Okay, people in the comments talk specifically about Leroy. You should be happy that these girls are finally about to get justice. Not just trying to hate on Trump. Just be happy these girls.
You
are getting
guys,
justice.
please do us a favor and hit those likes, share, and subscribe so this could go out to the algorithm. I expect this to be blowing up around the world. I expect this to be on every news channel tomorrow. This, when they like the release, thank you so much. Thank you. When they start releasing the names, y'all don't understand. There are going to be people on the list that you're going to be like, I can't believe it. I can't believe he was involved. I can't believe he did that. I can't believe. Are they going to lock these people up? I mean, what are you guys? Okay, you know what? The big question. Okay, they find out, say it was former President Clinton, that he actually had relationships with one of those girls. And they proved that he's had relationships to one of the girls. Okay, what's going to happen to President Clinton? What do you think is going to happen to President Clinton? Are we going to lock him up? I mean, you got to think of the magnitude. Like, are they going to lock up former President Clinton? What if Trump is more involved? Because something is bothering him. I don't know if it's because of a friend or what. What are we going to do with the president? Trump not leaving office. I don't know what they're going to do. But just imagine, and some of the stars, some of your biggest stars are on that list. Some of it is Bill Gates. I'm just throwing names out there. I'm talking about billionaires. How many of those billionaires, they all party together. Birds of a feather flock together. That's the rich flocks together. You understand? The rich, they flock together. So if Trump a billionaire, Epstein a billionaire, some of these other people were billionaires. So how many of the other billionaires that we know of that are billionaires, how many of them are involved? Because that money, when you got money like that, they name's going to be off that list. somehow. I can't see all these people, because are we going to lock them up? I like to see is it going to be enough for the victims to have these people revealed? Will that be enough, or do they want them locked away for their crimes? And has it passed the statute of limitations? Is there a statute of limitations? I mean, what do you think the victims want? Do the victims want them to go to jail or pay them restitutions? Like, what is it that they want? So let's hear what else they have to say. I'm just so excited, because I didn't think Trump was going to really do this, because I guess he had to, but I didn't think that he would.
Of when we will see the thousands of files that the president is timeline of when the public will see these files. We'll let you know as soon as we know. Here's what Bondi said earlier today.
Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe, you guys, please.
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
How are you going to do that?
When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Okay, so basically, where does this go from here? A live look at the White House, just past 8:30 in the nation's capital. Now the bill will require the Justice Department to release all files and communications related to Epstein, as well as any other information about the investigation into his death in a federal prison in 2019.
Yeah, how did he die?
Within 30 days. We don't know if this is going to come on the shorter end of that or if it'll come on the longer end of that, but we do know it will have to be within 30 days, according to the bill. This will allow for redactions about Epstein's victims for ongoing federal investigations, but the DOJ cannot withhold information due to embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. So we'll be keeping an eye out to see exactly when and in what form these files come. Of course, a lot of people have been focusing on just how many redactions will be made, something that's unclear at this point. But again, I'll reiterate, after this bill was passed, the DOJ cannot withhold, according to the text, any information due to embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. So there shouldn't be any redactions relating to anything of that nature. It will allow for the redactions of victims for ongoing federal investigations, according to the Associated Press.
But you know what? I heard as long as the investigation is going on, that they can't release the files. That you only can release the files if there isn't an ongoing investigation. So I'm trying to figure out how are they going to do this? Because you can't release them, because they said that they're still having investigations. And listen to it. They're only given 30 days. Now, mind you, they've had 8 weeks with these files that Congress was away. Now they said it's 30 days. If they go beyond the 30 days, are they saying that that's whatever they release within the 30 days, that's going to be it? I mean, I'm kind of confused, because it's like they're saying two things. You can't release it.
Which is full and complete
this is Hakeem Jeffrey.
In order to bring about accountability actually happens. And Congress decisively and in a bipartisan way acted yesterday with respect to the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. That's a victory for the survivors and a victory for the American people. And Donald Trump needs to sign that bill into law expeditiously. Thanks.
Some Republicans have implied that there's been a backdoor deal made for those Republican votes yesterday on the Plaskett censure in return for not bringing up a Corey Mills censure. Do you have any response to that? And was there a backdoor deal made?
What Republicans have suggested that?
Who else? Mace. A couple other women.
Yeah, the only thing that I can say is that Democrats are not going to unilaterally disarm. And there's a long list of Republicans worthy of censure. A long list. of Republicans. Not enough time in the legislative calendar if Republicans want to go down this road of censuring members or throwing them off committees. Thanks. Macro.
Okay, throwing them off committees.
You've done an event downstairs with Jared Golden to promote a discharge petition on restoring some collective bargaining rights for federal workers. That discharge petition hit 218 on Monday. I'm just wondering what happens now. Do you anticipate that will be called up? Will there be a vote on that bill in December?
Well, Speaker Johnson is required, pursuant to the discharge petition, to set in motion an up or down vote on restoring collective bargaining for hardworking federal employees. And that's a bipartisan discharge petition that will trigger that vote. So we know the votes exist in the House of Representatives. But this is another example of Republicans attacking hard-working American taxpayers, working families, members of organized labor, everyday Americans and middle-class Americans.
They're always campaigning.
Union involvement and union participation and collective bargaining against powerful interests across the country. The House Republican majority has been a complete and total failure. They have failed the American people. Life has not gotten better, despite all of their promises to lower the cost of living on day one. Costs have not gone down. Costs have gone up. And the American people know it's because of failed Republican policies. Thanks.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Throughout shutdown, you really emerged on national stage, and President Trump didn't hold back his attacks. I know this may sound perhaps counterintuitive, but did it give you perhaps more confidence that he sees you as the strong opponent, the one who can move the political needle?
I don't know why they even ask. It's always like campaigning. This is
well,
Fox
I appreciate
News.
you suggesting that throughout the shutdown I emerged on the national stage. I think my mother has done a good job of circulating talking points in that regard. But this fight was always about the American people and putting the American people first. And we're going to continue to lean into that fight, to lower the high cost of living,
Oh my God.
to fix our broken healthcare system, and to clean up corruption. In the Congress, that is going to start.
Now, we know what happened in the last
We
administration.
prohibit stock trading by members
They had
of
the
the United States
opportunity
Congress.
to do everything
And of
he's
course, we've
saying
got
for
to deal
4
with
years.
corruption
No,
within
12
the
of the
Supreme
last
Court.
16 years.
And in the administration, the most corrupt administration in American history. Our focus on the non-governmental side will continue to be taking back control of the United States House of Representatives. Because that's the most significant thing that can be done to begin the process of ending this national nightmare that has been visited on the American people by Donald Trump and Republicans. And Democrats are going to take back control of the House of Representatives. And we're going to do so decisively. This whole notion, it was always a fantasy. Some people bought into it. This whole notion that Republicans
I want
want
to
to
see
be
what
able
he's getting to. This is
gerrymander their way
Fox News is showing this.
into rigging the midterm elections, and Democrats in the House were just going to unilaterally disarm,
Thank you so
roll
much.
over, and play dead was a fantasy. And I told that to Mike Johnson months ago, directly.
Happy poop.
This is not going to end well for you. Told that directly to Mike Johnson, early, when it was suggested that Texas was going to move aggressively. Because they must have us confused. We
Neither
recognize the
party.
urgency of the moment.
Don't forget
And
to
in
hit the
state
like,
after
share, and
state, we will
subscribe.
continue to
We're trying to hear
decisively
Hakeem Jeffries out. I'm
and
waiting for him to
forcefully
say
respond.
something new.
As we've done in Texas, in California. We're doing it now in Missouri, on the ground, in Virginia, in Illinois, in Maryland, litigation in New York, pushing back against their efforts in red states throughout the country, and of course, with a decisive legal victory in Utah. So our focus is on making life better for the American people.
Please.
Stopping this
Oh, Lord.
Donald Trump-inspired effort to gerrymander the national congressional map in order to rig the midterm elections.
They can't act like they didn't destroy
They started this redistricting fight. We will end it. And that's a reality that extreme MAGA Republicans are confronting right now.
That being said, just to follow up on that though, in light of the Texas ruling yesterday, do you worry at some point some of your counter efforts could also be invalidated?
The Texas congressional map that was racially gerrymandered in violation of the law was declared to be unconstitutional in an opinion written by a judge appointed by Donald Trump, who centered that opinion on the corruption and the incompetence.
This, you know what? It almost sounds like he's campaigning.
It almost sounds like a robot.
I don't know why it sounds like he's campaigning for another office, another term. I mean,
It's like he's
and we have to be honest. The Democrats just relinquished the presidency January the 20th this year when President Donald Trump had got sworn in. So you had 4 years to lower inflation, interest rates, close the borders, get men out of women's sports, all the things that you should have been doing, you had the opportunity. So it's like, I don't know. And now he's talking like he's campaigning, but I want to hear him talk more about what just transpired with Trump signing the freaking Epstein Files, because that was big. And I don't know if it's the reporter's fault for not diving more into asking him more questions in regards to it.
That's because he's trying to be the face of the Democratic Party.
He's trying to be the face of the Democratic Party. Look, he could be the face, but he should be saying something. And now they talking about, is it a cover up or whatever? And that was Fox News. That's Fox News talking about it. So I'm surprised that they're still listening to all that. He talking about everything else. We want to hear about what's going on. Now they talking about cover up, new report on Trump. It's like people are just digging for dirt, and we're going to see. We'll give the Democrats their opportunity to say what they're going to say, because I'm waiting for Trump.
Act is on Donald Trump's desk. It is ready to be signed into law.
He signed it
after almost every Republican on Capitol Hill voted to advance it against Trump's wishes. Even House Speaker Mike Johnson ultimately voted to force the DOJ to release the Epstein files after, of course, he spent months using every procedural trick in the book to block that effort on Trump's behalf. Now, it seems Johnson expected his counterpart in the Senate, Republican Majority Leader John Thune, to grind the bill down to a halt this week with a lengthy markup process and, crucially, amendments. That didn't happen. The opposite happened. In fact, the Senate passed it with unanimous consent, and Johnson is still mad about that.
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think, I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see.
So does the president have concerns about the Epstein files coming out? Really? We probably don't need Mike Johnson to tell you that. Trump is widely expected to sign this bill, although
he did.
And it's not, of course, because he's had some change of heart. It's because if he did veto it, his own party would likely help to override him. This battle is lost, but as for the war, now comes the next phase of the apparent cover-up. Much of this part will rest with none other than Attorney General Pam Bondi, who will have 30 days to release those files after the Epstein bill becomes law. Files that Bondi and the DOJ claimed basically didn't exist in a 2-page memo last summer, or files that they say were of no public relevance. That memo said there would be no more investigations or releases of information on Epstein. Nothing to see here.
Our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. Our memo speaks for itself, and we'll get back to you on anything else. Nothing about Epstein. I'm not going to talk about Epstein.
Well, that was then. Today, Bondi did a 180 saying the government was opening investigation after all. In doing so, she gave a hint of how the new chapter of this apparent cover-up will work from here.
What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information that new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads.
Would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
Yeah. I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation.
Number 2, the Department of Justice tweeted. So there you have it. It's a classic, well, there's an active investigation, can't talk about it. I mean, we've been watching politicians run that play for literally generations. But you have to ask, what active investigation exactly? Oh, right, the one that Donald Trump ordered up on social media to investigate only Democrats mentioned in the Epstein Files released so far. A pending investigation Bondi can now cite as a reason to keep the public in the dark over the Epstein Files, to avoid releasing at least some of them. That's after she told the public for months there was no one left to investigate, although previous to that, she simply had this bombshell file she was going to release. So that's how the Epstein cover-up will work, apparently. An investigation run by a Department of Justice that has been completely lawless and dishonest throughout this administration, especially when it comes to Epstein and his convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. That appears to be the plan anyway. The question now is whether it will really work to Trump's advantage. He is a lame duck president with falling approval numbers. I mean, every day brings some new low point in some poll. His party and his base are erupting in infighting that we really haven't seen before at this point. There's increasingly only one issue where they're united these days, and that's releasing the Epstein Files. That's when Soup Sang, senior political correspondent for Zateo, Lisa Rubin's a senior legal reporter at MS Now, and they both join me now. Lisa, I have you here right now. So how do you understand what the Attorney General and DOJ are going to do if and when this bill gets signed into law tonight?
Well, I think one of the things that the Attorney General is going to do is determine what she is going to withhold and what she is going to redact, because the Epstein bill comes in 3 parts. First part gives you a number of categories of documents that are compelled to be released by Congress under the bill. But the second category is all of the exceptions to that the Attorney General and her sole discretion can rely upon in either redacting or withholding information. And as you just noted, they sort of reverse engineered an investigation, it appears, because one of those exceptions is where it would interfere with or compromise an active ongoing investigation or prosecution. And so you have to ask yourself, is there really new information here that would justify a new investigation? Or did somebody smart read the text of the bill and realize that the out that they have always wanted was built into this bill as a feature, not a bug?
There's a mention of what the Department,
so
the Deputy Attorney General. I'm going to ask you that in a second. I want to ask Swin this first. So interestingly tonight, Swin, they called a lid on the press pool, the White House press pool, which means no more official business, no more public events, which is notable because he's got the bill and could sign it into law. Donald Trump tends to like to do these things in public. But I'm reading from your reporting here. On Tuesday afternoon, the president suffered a blow to his ego and to his aura of personality cult, no doubt. The resistance to Trump's agenda and his narrative is having an effect, which is why he and people will resort to an increasingly blatant array of dirty tricks to protect their man in Washington and Mar-a-Lago. How do you think this goes next?
This is crazy. That's a good question. How do you think this is going to go next? One thing about the government, which I realized, like we're thinking, release the files. President Trump has signed it. That's breaking news. He signed the release of the Epstein Files. But now they're saying it's 2 parts. They have 30 days. And what happens after the 30 days? So they can release some of it, but not all of it because it's 2 parts. So some of the redacted part is up to the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, what else she might release. So are they saying they're going to still withhold some of the evidence?
Morale improves. Look, this is a government that is built almost entirely on bad faith in policy and practice, and this is no different here. Look, just
they have to release all
that
of
you
it.
guys were talking about earlier, we don't have to speculate. If you talk to senior Trump administration officials, they will tell you, whether privately or otherwise, if you ask them, look, do Trump, Pam Bondi, and the DOJ
hit the like, share,
investigation
subscribe
that the president ordered up, they're now doing, is this a way that, you know, you can keep certain files that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel very much do not want to be released to Congress or the American people under lock and key? They will say words like, of course. This is something they've been talking about for days, if not weeks, in terms of like a failsafe. Look, Trump expended a ton of political capital and lost when he tried to crush this vote in the House, and then it went on to the Senate, and they of course passed it. And him and his DOJ and Pam Bondi have built in there, and this is by design, a escape hatch and a plan B that is a much better insurance policy than Mike Johnson could ever possibly give them.
When Bondi was, I mean, that we were all cracking
aren't
up
people
today.
getting what they asked for?
No, information.
We're still complaining.
But then at one point she says, I'll refer you, again, I gotta say, the thing about this is, under ordinary procedure, like this is how all Department of Justice is, we don't comment on ongoing investigation. These folks have completely blown it up. They talk about anything whenever they want.
They order investigations.
They order investigations, and then they talk about the ones they've ordered.
Right.
So what was she referring to when she said Todd Blanche?
I'm going to tell you what I think she was referring to. 6 days ago, Todd Blanche got into a Twitter war of sorts, or an X war, with George Conway, a conservative legal commentator, who was criticizing his questioning of Glenn Maxwell on the basis of the documents that were released last week by House Oversight, saying that those documents undermined the transcribed interview that Todd Blanche took.
And basically saying, like, how could you
rely on that?
And your questioning was so incompetent because you didn't ask about all these things that are in this.
Correct. And here's the response. George, you've never been confused for a trial lawyer, and these kind of posts explain why. And then beyond the insult, when I interviewed Maxwell, law enforcement didn't have the materials Epstein's estate hid for years and only just provided to Congress.
Right.
What he seems to be saying in that is, I didn't have that information because it's not available to the Department of Justice. And time will tell whether that is a good faith statement or not. But that appears to be what Pam Bondi was referring to when she's talking about the Deputy Attorney General's ex post.
We should note that the Epstein estate countered that and said we were never questioned for this. We didn't hide anything. We turn over anything as soon as we need it. You know, Swin, I was thinking about when Lisa was talking about the redactions. Every journalist, I think, has had this experience, or many have, and if you haven't had it personally, you have a colleague, of foiling something, and then sometimes you get sued, sometimes they delay, but sometimes they say, here, and you get it, and you're like, great, and it's just like blacked out.
I'm looking for what Trump's going to have to say.
And I keep thinking about that moment as we see what they're going to do with this law that now compels them to disclose.
They have practically openly signaled that that is what they are going to do, or at least some version of it. Trump himself, when he lied that he had previously said that I'm okay, I don't care, the House can vote to pass this thing this week, he built into that Truth Social post, we will hand over whatever we are legally required to do, whatever they are legally allowed to have. Trump and his administration have a vastly different definition of the law than a lot of other normal-brained people on this planet. If you talk to people or some individuals who planned this from the onset during the transition, I'll never forget one of the things that one of them said to me when I asked them, what is the operating legal principle of the second Trump administration? And they said, what are you going to do about it? That is the legal principle they were working with, the raw power of they control the Justice Department, they control the White House, they are going to decide what Donald Trump does or does not want the American people to see, and you're going to have to live with that. That is the stance they're taking, whatever public relations and face-saving Donald Trump is engaged in right now.
Yeah, we want to go, okay, that's their response. I don't know. I know we need to hear from President Trump. I don't know. Maybe he's tired because he is a busy man. But Trump usually does not miss a newscast or breaking news. He's usually on top of everything. And I'm surprised that he did not do this live from the White House. Like, he just wrote on social media what he was going to do, but he did not emphasize, that he was, normally something like that, he would sign in front of everyone and he would take questions from the reporters. But this is unusual for Trump because he's extremely outspoken and he usually wants to talk to the people himself. Whatever it is, he will do news conferences more than any president I've ever seen in my lifetime. Trump is usually doing news programs. I'm trying to see if so I'm surprised that this is not something, especially something like that he didn't sign it in front of the reporters and, had taken questions from the reporters. So I don't see anything at all from Trump other than him, putting out that he signed the, see what Jesse Waters have to say. That he signed the
him and saying that's him, mommy.
Yeah. Just breaking news that Trump said that he signed it, but it's unusual that Trump is not the one that's doing a news conference on something like this. So I'm surprised. So I am looking for him.
With us, we begin this busy Wednesday night with what's next after the rare bipartisanship in Washington to release the full Jeffrey Epstein files. After months of blocking the measure, the president a short time ago signed the veto-proof legislation into law. President Trump posted on Truth Social saying, in part, I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. This just hours after U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi suggested investigators have obtained new information about the case but gave no further details. We spoke to a Jeffrey Epstein survivor who was in Washington yesterday in the chamber before the president's signature. And in that vigil, when survivors found out together the Senate had passed it. Our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas leads us off with the latest reporting.
Tonight, the bill demanding that the Justice Department release the Epstein files is now law. The president signing it some 24 hours after it was overwhelmingly approved by Congress, something he said he would do.
Sure I would. Let the Senate look at it, let anybody look at it, but don't talk about it too much because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us.
The Justice Department now has 30 days to make the files public. Tonight, some Republican senators saying it shouldn't take that long.
This shouldn't be a new issue, so they should be ready to go. I hope they release them immediately.
But even though the issue has been brewing for weeks with pressure mounting, today Attorney General Pam Bondi would not explain how the process will play out and what, if anything, will be released.
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
I pressed the AG on whether that means the full files will come out.
When you say follow the law, Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. We will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Lawmakers on both sides watching these next steps very closely.
There must be no funny business from Donald Trump. This is not an invitation for Donald Trump to pick and choose his version of the truth.
President Trump didn't need Congress to get the Epstein files out. He could have just ordered Bondi to do it on his own. Instead, in recent days, he instructed the Attorney General to launch a new investigation into Epstein's ties to Democrats. Critics called that an effort to deflect from the president's own association with Epstein, noting Bondi herself had closed the books on the Epstein case earlier this year. At the time, she said the department had not uncovered evidence that could lead them to investigate anyone else. Today, I asked her what had changed. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information.
She has a
There's
tough
information,
job.
New information, additional information.
The Attorney General would not say what the new information was.
Still a lot of uncertainty here. Our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas joins us now. So Pierre, bottom line, is it still not clear yet when these files will be released?
We don't know if the new investigations will lead to a delay in the release of the Epstein files, Lindsay. Critics warn it could be an effort to stall, but those victims who we saw on Capitol Hill, who were there to witness Congress act, are demanding justice and total transparency.
We saw that loud and clear. Pierre Thomas Forrest, our thanks to you.
You know, this is crazy. Like, at the end of the day, you have victims that are looking for justice, and they deserve justice. So they need to just go ahead and release it at this point.
Bill to release the Epstein files. What else did he say in that post?
He did. That's what he said. He said that he signed the full bill to release the Epstein files that just came to his desk this afternoon. He does this, Lindsay, in a pretty long social media post here. He rails against Democrats. He essentially says, obviously, we know that he launched this investigation, that he directed his attorney general earlier this week to launch an investigation into Democrats. He says because of that investigation and because he signed this bill, that maybe more information about them will come to light. Again, that's the changing of the narrative here a bit. He goes on to say that his Department of Justice has already handed over thousands of pages of documents to Congress. What he's referring to there are documents that DOJ did already hand over more than a month ago to the House Oversight Committee. It's not new documents, if you will. It's only a fraction of the documents that the government has in their possession. So the big question here going forward, of course, is when do we see these documents? Now, the ball is in DOJ's and FBI's court now on this. Will they post them on their website? How do we intend to see these? When will we see these? If we read the bill text closely, it says very specifically that documents can be withheld due to an active investigation. Is that something we end up hearing from DOJ? Do we ultimately see all of these files? There's still a lot of unknown questions, but the reality is it went to Trump's desk, he signed it. So now we have to see what the administration releases of these files and when they do that.
President Trump also said in a post tonight that he will meet with New York City Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani at the White House on Friday. What do we know about that meeting?
Yeah, that will be an interesting meeting. We don't have many details other than what the president posted on his social media account, that meeting will happen on Friday. We've reached out to the Mamdani campaign to get more information about that. I will say this is something that Trump did tease over the weekend. He told reporters that the mayor reached out to him, said he would like to meet with us, and that's something will work out. Trump told reporters, we want to see everything work out well for New York. So that would be a pretty remarkable meeting, given that Trump endorsed his opponent and hasn't said particularly nice things about Mamdani and vice versa. So how does that meeting go? Are cameras brought in? What time does that happen? We still are unclear, other than the fact that the president has said publicly he wants to see everything work out well for New York. So what does that mean? I'm sure we will find out a couple of days from now.
We most definitely going to stream that.
Holders, our thanks to you.
We're most definitely going to stream that meeting with Mamdani, because we did do something earlier. What's going on in Dearborn, Michigan. They have a Muslim mayor there, and you have like Turning Point USA and different people that showed up there. They just doing a whole lot of fighting and a whole lot of name calling out there. And now we have Mamdani in New York, the largest city in the United States of America. And so billionaires and millionaires, they are fleeing as fast as possible. So it's like crazy. It is crazy, crazy, crazy. A lot of stuff is going on. But the meeting with Mamdani knows he needs President Trump to be able to have funds released to New York that they're going to desperately need. And I don't even know if that would help, because you have billionaires that are leaving, and that's where the money's at. So it's crazy. And now, Larry Summers, he stopped teaching at Harvard over the Epstein links, recording reports. So, like, what's going on? It's like they already have people that's already fallen. Larry Summers stopped teaching. Them Epstein, for a lot of people, heads are going to roll. Former Harvard president. This is crazy.
Some of you will have seen my statement regret, expressing my shame with respect to when I did in communication with Mr. Epstein, and that I've said that I'm going to step back from public activities for a time, but that it's very important to fulfill my teaching obligations. And so, with your permission, we're going to go forward and talk about the material in the class.
Summers and Jeffrey Epstein. It's like Jeffrey Epstein is no longer here, and his name is all over the world. This is crazy. It's going all over the world. And Marjorie Taylor, she's vowing to read all the names of the victims. So she's going to see this thing through. This is something that she's been fighting for personally, regardless of party. She's like, these women need justice. And I think that she was a victim or whatever of sexual abuse. So it means a lot to
partisan
her.
effort to release the Epstein files finally, after 5 administrations have covered it up. Earlier today, I attended the press conference where the survivors, they're not victims, the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse and sex trafficking told their stories. And they told stories about how it started back in 1991, 1996, and they continued on through the decades. And they told stories about how they told someone and tried to get help. They told the FBI and they weren't listened to. And they told law enforcement and no one did anything. And these women don't just number a few. These women number around 1,000 women. And they are victims of something that's unthinkable. And this should have never, ever happened. This was the biggest fight I think I've seen in Washington, D.C. This is my 5th year here. And this was a fight that we should have never had to wage. It should have been the easiest thing for every single member of Congress. It should have been the easiest thing for the Speaker of the House. It should have been the easiest thing for the President of the United States to release all the information, every single file, on behalf of these American women. These American women aren't rich, powerful elites. They do not have someone paying for their airline tickets or paying for their trips or paying for their expenses every time they try to do something to get this information out. These are your average Americans. And you want to know what the Epstein files represent? The cover-up represents to average Americans. It represents the failures of the federal government and Congress to the American people. And that is what people rose up about in 2024. They wanted and demanded transparency from their government and for Americans finally to be put first. And today with this vote, we are finally putting these victims and these survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and the cabal of rich, powerful elites that expands not just here in the United States of America, but to other countries as well. We're putting them last. And that is exactly what Americans want. You see, for far too long, Americans have been put last. And they're sick of it. They're sick and tired of it. And this is why they don't trust Congress. This is why they don't trust the government. And here's the problem. All of these women who have suffered in shame for years and years and years, women who were terrified, women who were intimidated, women who were threatened, just like Virginia Giuffre. And now she's dead. And these women should have never faced that for this information to come out. And we, especially the 4 Republican members of the House of Representatives, we should have never faced intimidation and threats for us to get this vote to come to the floor. Never forget, there were 4. Thomas Massie, myself, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert. We had to sign a discharge petition And we had to fight through intimidation, and we had to endure it for months to push that discharge petition finally
to
218 to get this vote to come out. This is what the American people are sick of, and rightfully so. Now, where does this go from here? The question will remain, will the Department of Justice release all the information? Will a judge in New York release the information? Will the CIA release the information? And will foreign governments release their information?
Wow.
Or will this continue after this vote today be a cover-up? A cover-up of the rich, powerful elites that bond together in sex and human trafficking abuse and all types of global business that enriches them but never serves Americans. The American people will know, and the victims, actually the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein will know, because they know the list of names. And I remain dedicated to my promise to read those names here on the House floor if those women ever find them in a place that it needs to be done. I yield back to...
You know what? This is like, I don't know if there will ever be justice for these women, only because, like, they talking about worldwide. She's talking about releasing names and releasing people from other nations. We already know Prince Andrew was involved. He lost all his titles and was kicked out of the palace. That's big. So, you know, this is huge. And I don't know if the victims will they ever receive justice, because these are the most powerful people in the world. When you talk about billionaires, it's not just billionaires in name. These people are powerful. They have money. They, they're running the governments. Their money is running the governments. They're buying votes. They're buying everything. They're buying people, per se, to do what they tell them to do. So it's like, because Trump was so reluctant into releasing these files, and I don't know, how are you going to take down the billionaires and these people with so much power? And these are everyday, they were girls at the time. These are everyday women. And I don't know, do you guys think that they're going to receive justice? Will justice be served? Will they actually go after these people? You know, I don't think they're going to. And then Trump not doing a news conference, actually signing it. He said he signed it, but that's something he usually would do so all the people can see him signing the document. So it's really highly unusual for Trump not to sign it. I'm like really surprised that he didn't do it in his Oval Office, because he usually likes to sign it and then he'll show it to the cameras, to the reporters, and to the public. And he did, send out this large post, but I'm concerned that they say 30 days is 2 parts. Then they said that it's an ongoing investigation, meaning if there's an ongoing investigation, then they can't release all the files. As long as you have an ongoing investigation, you can't release all the files. So, and they only giving them 30 days. So is that like a clause that's going to hinder them for fulfilling the promise to release the files? Is that what they're saying? Jack, you seem to always know a lot about this. Like, is that what they're saying? And how soon will we how soon will any of the files be released to us that we get to see it? This is like crazy. I don't think that they're going to get the justice that we're hoping that they're going to get. It's like, I don't think they're going to have justice, because I think there's going to be too many firewalls that's going to prevent them from getting all the truth. I think every time,
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
We've got nothing for years on years on years.
Compels
Yeah,
the Justice
that's
Department to release the Epstein
Something
files,
is
but
better
still
than
not clear
nothing.
when the
But
public
is
will
that
find
going to
out
be
what's in them
justice?
or
how much they will
for the
reveal.
women.
Our Conan
Was
Nolan
this
live in the
still
newsroom
gonna
with
be-
the latest. Conan.
That's right, Colleen. To amplify that, the president just moments ago releasing a statement on his Truth social media where he said he signed the Epstein Transparency Act into law. But there are questions tonight as to what exactly will be released to the public and if there will be efforts to keep portions of the evidence secret. The celebration last night on Capitol Hill, the House Democratic Women's Caucus, with victims of Jeffrey Epstein.
The power of being heard and being recognized and being validated is incredibly healing.
The bill is considered read 3 times and passed, and the motion to reconsider is considered.
The euphoria follows the lightning-quick passage in both the House and Senate of a bill requiring the Justice Department to make public its complete investigative record on the pedophile Wall Street financier. And while President Trump says he will sign the bill, there are questions tonight as to what will be released and when, with Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson claiming the measure passed yesterday is flawed.
It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it?
Once the president signs the bill, the Justice Department will have 30 days to make all files public. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the DOJ wants maximum transparency.
We have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law.
Victims' names will likely be redacted, and any documents dealing with an open investigation may be held back. That's because the legislation includes the kind of exemptions Bondi has used to withhold documents in the past. There's a possibility she will cite new inquiries that began last week after President Trump directed Bondi to look into Epstein's ties to prominent Democrats.
New information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads.
But that's not what the Attorney General claimed last summer when she wrote that a review of the files found no new information. President Trump has not been accused of any wrongdoing related to Epstein, but in documents and emails released by the House Oversight Committee, Epstein discussed the president and claims Trump knew about the girls. Tonight on his post, he again called this a Democratic Party hoax. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
This is crazy. So President Trump, I don't know at this point if they will receive any justice because it's too much burying the truth. You know, as long as you continue to bury the truth, then there's no way.
A live look at the White
they're
House
gonna get
as the bill to
justice.
release the full Epstein files was sent.
You know, there's no way.
And did you know
that they're going to be able to get down to the truth? And I don't know if what's going on now, if that's going to satisfy the victims. Like, what is it going to take to satisfy the
files
people
was sent to the president's
that have
desk
been affected
today.
by
President Trump said this
the
week
abuse?
he would sign that bill into law. Now survivors of Epstein are reacting to the passage of the bill. Annie Farmer says she
Here they
was
go.
sexually abused by the convicted sex offender Anne Ghislaine Maxwell when she was 16 years old. She's now a psychologist who works with trauma survivors.
Wow.
Farmer told CBS Mornings she shares the fear that survivors won't get the transparency that they want.
We're very much hoping that the language in the bill would make it such that they can't do that type of redaction. But, you know, there have been recent things like suddenly calling for this investigation, even though it was, you know, just this summer that they, you know, this administration, or the DOJ, I should say, released a statement that there was no further evidence for any need for investigation, right? So these files should be available now. They should not be tied up in any kind of investigation, but we're concerned about things like that might get in the way of what we're looking for.
Former Harvard University President Larry Summers continues to step back from the public after emails between himself and Jeffrey Epstein were released. Today, Summers announced he will resign from his position on the board of OpenAI. The emails included conversations asking Epstein for advice on romantically pursuing a woman Summers said saw him as a mentor. Summers was married at the time. Meanwhile, Harvard is opening a new inquiry into faculty connections with Epstein that will include another investigation into Summers, who still teaches there. A student in one of Summers' classes posted this video of him talking about Epstein.
You will have seen my statement of regret, expressing my shame with respect to what I did in communication with Mr. Epstein. and that I've said that I'm going to step back from public activities for a time, but that I think it's very important to fulfill my teaching obligations.
I'm joined now by Deirdre Fernandez, a reporter at the Boston Globe who has covered this story extensively. So, Deirdre, what did your reporting reveal about Larry Summers' relationship with Epstein, and also how it extended to Summers' wife?
Sure. So these new emails that were released by the House Committee basically gave us a window into the very deep connections between both Epstein and Summers and his wife too. And what it revealed was that there was a previously unreported gift that Epstein helped direct to Summers' wife, Elisa New. She was a poetry professor at Harvard at the time, and was trying to launch this new course that eventually became a PBS program. And so Epstein was crucial to the development of that program, helping her woo Woody Allen to appear, to do an interview, helping her getting her connected to donors and other foundations, and just even helping her figure out who to interview, what topics that may be interesting. So he was very involved in both with Summers and with Summers' wife's poetry and professional projects.
Yeah, adding to that, your story says, as you said, Epstein helped broker this major gift for her that, quote, changed everything for her at Harvard. That wasn't mentioned in Harvard's 2020 Epstein report. What exactly was left out?
So what was in the report, this Elisa New, the professor, Summers' wife, she was mentioned in a footnote, and Larry Summers himself was only mentioned once in a glancing kind of reference in the report.
Woody Allen.
And
that's a big possibility.
Epstein's foundation had given her money, about $110,000, and that was mentioned in the report. But there was no mention of this changing, like this really seminal gift that gave her leverage, she said in emails, at Harvard, and helped people at Harvard take her project more seriously. That was not mentioned at all.
So speaking of emails, when you first saw the newly released emails, what jumped out at you as new or different from what we already knew about Epstein and Harvard?
Well, we knew Epstein, and there had been a lot of concern years ago about how entrenched he was at Harvard, that he had an office, that he had a phone there. But these emails reveal how close and personal some of the relationships were, especially with Summers, who was the former president of Harvard. I mean, they were just so chummy, which is, I think, something that surprised and took faculty and students at Harvard by surprise. And the fact that his wife had her own distinct relationship with Epstein was a surprise too.
As we've reported, Summers has stepped back from several outside roles after these emails became public, but he's still a professor at Harvard. So what happens next for him? And then also Harvard's broader culture around powerful donors.
Yeah. Yeah. So even after the 2020 report, there was an acknowledgement that there were some gaps in the way Harvard dealt with donors, especially banned donors, and how they communicated who could and couldn't get gifts. Harvard has tried to change some of that culture back from 2020 and 2019 when this was a big issue. But now they're doing a new review based on some of these emails on Summers and anybody else who might have been mentioned in these emails, and trying to decide if anything warrants any action from Harvard. And Summers has said that he would like to continue teaching finish off his semester and finish his courses. So we'll see what happens next with that.
Deirdre Fernandez. Deirdre, thank you.
This is crazy. This is really crazy. I think that this is going to be going to blow up more than I think people realize. That we're talking about a level of people involved that we only see like in the movies. It almost sounds like a movie that somebody has written, and we're watching the movie, because we're talking about the rich. We're talking about Richie Rich. We're talking about the most powerful people in the world are involved with these Epstein files. It's like and it's amazing that people do their dirt and they document it. It's like they got pictures, they do all this stuff. like nobody's going to find out. It's just crazy. And the involvement is so, on the next level. And it's not it's not just the Democrats, and it's the Republicans and the Democrats seemingly that are involved. So this is not about party. It's about involvement. How much each person was involved with Epstein, and it's traceable because people were outwardly friends with him. People were outwardly partying with him. People were outwardly visiting his island, and people knew what was going on. People knew what was going on, that they were just flying out them young girls, some little girls. They weren't young, they were little girls. They were flying out these little girls, and things were happening at the island. Imagine you're a child, and you got these grown men, some of them probably 60 years old or whatever, but they're grown men to little girls, and they're flying them out to these islands. And like, where were the parents? Like, you see these women now, but all of them had mothers and fathers. Where were their parents when these things were happening? How did their children, how did they become involved with the rich of the richy rich? How were they allowed to be flown out to the islands with Epstein? And the kids had to say what had happened to them, what was going on. And I'm quite sure that a lot of those girls were virgins at the time. So I don't understand. They were children. How was this allowed even by the parents? That this was allowed? Were the parents paid off? Because that happens too. Like the parents just look away because those were their children. So it really doesn't make any sense to me. Like, where were the parents? Nobody talk about the people parents. Where were they at? They documented the time to blackmail each other. Oh. Okay. And Maxwell set them up. Okay. And scouted them out. Oh, right. Maxwell. So she was the middleman. She was getting the girls. Because I was like, I guess she was dealing with parents that weren't keeping an eye on their children. And so she looked innocent, and she would go get the girls, or probably say they're going to spend the night, or she had some function for the girls or whatever. They were going to have fun. And meanwhile, I guess the girls were taken, to the island or to the penthouses or wherever they were taking these children to. Because I'm like, well, while all this was going on, like, where were the parents? Like, how is this happening to your child? These were not orphans. These kids, and I'm quite sure the kids, maybe they were ashamed and they didn't tell, because that happens too. When people are ashamed, they don't tell about their experiences. This is like crazy. Let's see what you guys have to say. Here, the Daily Show. We want to hear what you guys say about the Epstein. That's what we want to hear. Oh, we can't show that. Okay, didn't know. Yeah, well, anyway, you guys, this is so crazy. It is so crazy. We don't know what's going to come of all of this. I just really pray that the women have closure, that they can finally have peace, because it seemed like they've been carrying this burden for like 20 years. I don't know how long. It might even be longer for some. And they just want closure. They want justice. They want to be heard. They want justice. They want justice, and I don't blame them. They should want justice. They've been going through all of this, and probably people have been, a lot of times you're made to feel shameful when things happen. So hopefully they will not have to feel shameful, and just hope that, that they find some peace in all this. And I hope this isn't dragged on, that this is just another, just to push it aside, but still not releasing the files. I hope it's not the case that they're still not doing what they said they're going to do, even though the president has signed the release of the files, But now they're saying that some stuff is still going to be redacted. It's one part, then it's a second part, and that might not be released. And I don't know. It's like I think the heads are too big to be rolled, and they're just not going to. So I don't know. But anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. God bless you. We're going to pick this up tomorrow because this is a lot. But hopefully we're going to hear from President Trump tomorrow. He has to talk about this tomorrow. And I'm looking for him to do a news conference tomorrow. And when he does a news conference, look for Speak the Truth 2.0. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment. You have any questions or you want to talk about it more? Well, like the chat disappears, but we do look for questions after the chat, and we can have this conversation continue. So turn on your notifications so when we come back on, that you will be notified, because we talk to our chat because we want to hear from you guys. But we love you. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. This is breaking news. I just hope the women be vindicated and they can find peace and closure. That's what this is more about. I don't think it's as much to them about people going to jail, because it's going to be hard to lock those people up. If they're billionaires, it'd be 30 years. They won't be here any longer with them still trying to lock these people up. But at least they will be heard. At least hopefully they'll feel some sort of vindicated, just for the names to be put out there. The people that, did this to them, that have been secretly living their lives with their wives, their family, and their children, that they'll be put on blast for around the world. Everybody get to hear and know who they are. So anyway, God bless you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Love you. And don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. Let's get it. We got 86 people or whatever left on here. If you don't mind, please hit that like. That shows support of this channel. God bless. Peace out. Peace out. I'm trying to end it. It won't let me in.